Well, Marty and I welcome you to the 50th anniversary of Fremont Community Church. This is really incredible, 50 years.
Yeah, it kind of dates us a little bit.
But we're glad you are all here to celebrate what the Lord has done really for 50 years. So glad you're here and hope that this will be a meaningful time and you will experience and see some of the reality of God's faithfulness through these 50 years. Well, Redwood Chapel Community Church in Castro Valley had grown to a point where they felt like it was time to branch out, and so they decided to start a branch church in Pleasanton called Valley Community Church. And then after they got that rolling, they said, we need to start a church in Fremont. And so we started the conversation, sought the Lord as to what He would want for us, and agreed to come out here and help lead this ministry. And so we did, and we started talking to some. I think we had several families from Redwood Chapel who were living in Fremont. And so we started meeting with them in homes once a week, and gradually got to the point where we felt it was time for us to start Sunday morning worship services. And it was held down the street at Mission San Jose High School. And, you know, the Lord added to our numbers. It was really amazing. Things were going well there at the Mission San Jose High School, but a bunch of the people found out that this property here on Mission Boulevard down the way at Kimber Chicks was available, and they thought we should buy it. Well, it's like, how's that possible? Oh, we need to do that. They started praying that way, and I'm sitting there as a former businessman saying there's no way we can afford that. We're this little congregation, and there's no way. But, I mean, it's just one of these times where you say, there's the Lord's faithfulness. And we met in that little auditorium for many, many years, but got into multiple services through that time.
Pastor Sherm always used the Bible. He walked in with his Bible, he read the Bible, and he left with the Bible.
I was there for the longest time doing the overhead projector where you had to put down the little transparency, and then I'd slowly move the paper down the line, and then I'd quickly change the page and slowly move the paper down so everybody could read the words up on the screen. And that's how I got started in tech. So I think tech has changed a whole lot since then, and it's much easier than that.
When it got to that point where we come to this property, we're sitting here saying, this is a huge property. What are we going to do with it? We can't just justify having a property like this and maybe be here Sunday morning and Sunday evening. What can we do to maximize this property? And as we sought the Lord and what He wanted, the thing that we thought would be the most profound impact on our community, besides a typical church kind of ministry, was to have a school. Now we're building the kids' lives like you wouldn't believe, Monday through Friday, as well as what we were doing on Sundays or Wednesday night youth group or whatever. So that was really profound.
Carol started teaching as a preschool teacher, and she taught for 10 or 11 years. I think most of the time with Diane Hurst and Beth Bromley.
We had a preschool of, I feel like it was like 170 kids at the time, and so it was really big, and over the years everything's kind of gotten a little smaller, but at the same time I feel like it's gotten more personal.
We're almost at that 25-year mark of starting FCC, and my goodness, we realize in what's happening out in our culture that a lot of people don't want to come to a facility. So we decided to go from more of a performance-based come to church to more of an outreach, go out there. And around 2000, 2002, we started even going from home groups to what we call city-reaching cells.
Pastor Sherman had the city divided up into regions, and then there were home group leaders that were kind of overseers of those regions. So anybody that was new into that area, the home group leaders would make contact with them, would reach out to them, encourage them to come.
And each city reaching cell had a different kind of mission. It was sort of the precursor to then going more into saying, okay, we're not going to put so much emphasis on Sunday mornings as the thing, but really put a lot more emphasis on small groups and city reaching cells, and then from there going into even more purposeful missional communities, which, you know, now here is Eric leading still in this direction of FCC, and I just think that just the incremental. So when you say, well, okay, how do you go from here to here? I think the Lord just step by step takes you, and so we just, you know, we pray every day for FCC, and especially that the Lord will show how to pull off the missional community mentality, where we're not thinking about ourselves as much as how we can come together to reach out to others and meaningfully impact our community for Christ.
We were looking for a church that was thinking differently about church. And one of the things that I really loved about FCC when we started the conversation about possibly coming here to be on staff was God is calling us to a new thing. We're not here to just try to fill the seats of our church. We're sent into our community to be a blessing to our community and to represent Jesus well.
I'm really excited about where we're going as a church, of really going out and engaging in the community. I think it takes lots of little steps, right? And so as we start prayer walking in our communities, intentionally reaching out to our neighbors, starting with superficial conversations, then meaningful, then spiritual, and then getting to a point where we can be studying the Bible together. And I think it's a really great emphasis that we have.
I really want to see us be very ingrained in the community, helping out at every turn, partnering with whatever organization we can, so that our footprint is deep and wide, so that the people in Fremont will know, whether you believe in Jesus or whether you go to church or not, when they hear Fremont Community Church, I want them to just think of a loving, kind, welcoming place.
FCC is really just a home. It's a family, and that's what drew us here. That's what has kept us here. That is part of why California is our home, that we've been called here, we've called to this church, and we're so glad to be here.
Even when we were pregnant, that's when I really felt like this is more than just someplace we come on Sunday. This is our family. Like, they're the ones, you know, giving us blankets and diapers and things for our kids, and it's, you know, the ones who really care about and love us deeply.
We want to care for you, and we want to care for our community, and there's just this relationship aspect that I haven't, it's relatively speaking unparalleled to me. Like, I haven't been to a church where it's been this healthy and this caring and so focused on kind of this holistic health piece.
Honestly, like, I feel really spiritually connected here at FCC, and I feel like the messages are designed for everyone and not just like adults and stuff like that.
This is who we are. This is how we're gonna build this church up even more. We could be like a future pastor or something.
I really like serving in tech, especially. Even as a student, I get to be a part of it and not just basically being taught to.
I was able to be me here. I was able to be open, and the kids that I'm friends with and got to know, like, I've created such close bonds with them, and it makes me like excited on Wednesdays and Sundays, like, oh, I get to see these kids, I get to like hang out with them, and the preaching that goes on, I love it because I feel so spiritually connected here.
There will be people that will be here to look after you and talk to you and be caring, and just, you'll be surrounded by a whole new community. It might be scary, but I think it's worth it.
Well, one thing that I would say is that I love that the leadership has kept the name Fremont Community Church. Didn't have to rename it because it truly, I think, shows the diversity in the Tri-Cities. And I love the fact that it is a community and that it's the community church, and just, it's beyond belief. It's the most wonderful community to be a part of, and that is the Church of Jesus Christ.
And I think that it's really important to realize, when you're marking 50 years, how important it is that the way you do church isn't today the same as it is in 1973.
It'd be so different if we were starting a church now.
The world is different. And I think to reach the world, if we exist for the world, to reach the world and not be just for us, that we've got to look at the world the way it is in 2023 and beyond and say, all right, for such a time as this. I think that's what we did in 1973. What should it look like?
We have all these amazing opportunities to go much further, to have a greater capacity to reach people in our community just by saying, what does it look like to bring church in this environment, to this context that I'm in?
I'm really excited, first of all, that I have a team that we can even talk about what do we think about our Sundays. Those are the things that you don't get to really ask around church ministry meetings.
People are willing to try new stuff, and people are willing to try it and see if it works, and if it doesn't, let's try something new.
Church is not the same now. It is different than when I first started, but that's okay, because church should be a place where we feel comfortable enough to be ourselves and truly be appreciated for who God has made us to be.
We've really appreciated the amount of time that we have been able to spend with Eric and Adrian, the few times we've been together, and just appreciate their spirits, their desire to be exactly in that sweet spot of what the Lord wants.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who has ever contributed to the life of Fremont Community Church over these 50 years, because even the most mundane thing in those 50 years that was meant to help this church and its people flourish has contributed to something that is eternal. And for that, I'm eternally grateful, and I cannot wait to see what God is going to do in and through us in these next 50 years.